If you were watching Saturday's video, you saw that I was given 2 packages of mystery poultry. Wasn't labeled, so I don't know for sure. Looks like white meat. I'll tell you right now, my pot is clean. This is just discoloration. It's not dirty. But I'm going to show you what I'm doing with that poultry. So I start by getting out my Instapot, Ninja, Foodie, whichever you have, or a crock pot. It works just fine in a crock pot as well. This is still frozen, but on looking at it, I'm pretty sure it looks like it's probably turkey breast, because they're way too big to be chicken. So I'm thinking that looks turkey to me. And I'm dumping them both in. We got skin on there too. I'm not really seeing. Okay, looks like there are some bones in there, but that's okay because I'm gonna pull it out later anyway. I've dumped my turkey into the pot. I'm giving it a healthy dose of cumin or cumino, however you want to say it. This just gives it a little bit of a smoky flavor, and it's that secret ingredient that you see in a lot of Mexican dishes. And I took a whole yellow onion and I diced it up, throwing that in. And then for my liquid, because crock pots work best, oops, I bumped the camera. If you have some liquid, I'm throwing in half a jar of picante because that is what I have. If you have salsa, salsa works fine too. If you read the ingredients, it's pretty much the same ingredients on both. Just depends on how finely it is chopped up. So that's got tomatoes and onions and peppers and jalapenos. All of those things are in it. As this cooks down, it's going to give everything a Mexican flavor to it. And when I'm all done, of course, I'll take out any bones and I'll shred the meat and throw away the skin. And this will become a number of different dishes. Right now, what I'm going to use it for is Mexican soup. I had a dear friend that taught me years ago how to make the Mexican soup that you find in a lot of restaurants, and my family really likes it, so this is my base for making soup. Also, some of this will get shredded and put in baggies to use for chicken enchiladas and other dishes later in the month. So now I'm putting on my lid, hitting slow cooker and high, and I'm letting it go for 4 hours. So I will check back with you in 4 hours. Okay, so let's see what we got. It smells wonderful. Chicken. Okay, it does not feel like it's quite done. It's still a little. This bottom one feels like it's done. The top one does not. Turn it over. Get it down into the broth. And I'll put the lid back on it for a little while and let it keep cooking. About 2 hours later, it was good and shreddable. So I pulled it all out of the crock pot using a strainer and put it in a bowl. This is where the house got really noisy, and so at this point I'm doing a voiceover to avoid all the extra chatter in the background. But I let it cool down a little bit, enough that I could touch it with my fingers, but not completely cold. I've discovered that if you put it in the refrigerator and wait till the next day, or if you give it a lot longer when it's cooled down a lot, it's harder to shred. So I try and do it while it's still pretty warm. And I am just using a fork to pry off all the big pieces of turkey and putting them over in the bowl, picking out bones, picking out skin, and throwing those away as I come to them. It does get to the point when you've got most of the big chunks out with the fork that you just have to use your hands. There's not any better tools than your hands, and that way you can feel if there's any little bitty bones that you don't want to miss and end up with them in your food. So I'm taking the pieces out and kind of squeezing them to make sure that there's no bones in them, and pinching the bones as I come across them. And I'm just checking to make sure I haven't missed any bones, squeezing it all between my fingers. And then I go back the other direction. I take the big chunks of the turkey and I start shredding them into bite-sized pieces. These will work out great for any type of a casserole dish. I could use them chimichangas, we do that sometimes. And I will just continue until I've got it all shredded into bite-sized pieces. I ended up, I thought I could get about 4 meals out of it, but once I shredded it all, I decided to just make 3. So I go through and get it all shredded down, and then I package it up into baggies to go into the freezer for 2 of them. And then once those baggies are out of my way, I put the other third back into the crock pot or the Ninja. Just making sure I put about the same amount in each baggie. So I'm adding it back to the broth that was in the pot, and I did strain through this to make sure I didn't have any bones in it. Then I am adding a cup of rice. If you don't know, long cooking rice is a whole lot cheaper than minute rice, and it's not that hard to do. You just want to wash it off to get rid of the extra starch, and then you will put it 1 part rice to 2 parts liquid, whatever your liquid is. And then in a pressure cooker, you will put your lid on, pressure cook for 0 time, which means it will just build up to pressure and then it will immediately shut off. And the rice turns out perfect every time. While my plan had been to make chicken soup, I got vetoed and nobody wanted soup, so I did not add extra liquid to it, and I just made chicken and rice. Usually I would cover this with cheese, however I have some non-cheese eaters, so I just put the cheese on the table and let everyone add it who wanted it. Bon appetit.